Hey guys, here's MLSO from the 26th. It came back up, so that was just a glitch on their website. Check this out. I had like a burst of energy or something. Revealed another planetary body there or something. Anyway, and you can see they're moving. Looking large and in charge. Sorry about that. I know it didn't even make sense to me. But anyway, it's like about a 5-hour run. These are roughly 2-minute time lapses. Still got the big object up here. I think it's a big object with the white center mass showing. Slowed it down a little bit. Looks like they didn't quite peel off as many layers. Maybe they're trying to hide some of these objects. I showed you quite a few from the day before image. Bump it back up. So you can see there's still quite several out there and they appear to be moving. So if we see a motion from an Earth view, that would suggest to me that they're pretty close to the Earth, relatively speaking, because the further away they would be, the less movement we'd be seeing, right? They're looking pretty big. Here's that loop from the 25th, the day before when we were seeing a lot of objects. It looks like they went back in and maybe added a couple layers back to perhaps hide some of these objects because they were really showing up in that last video I made 2 days ago. You'll have to go back in and compare. I think they maybe added another layer because I'm not seeing quite as many objects. Looked a little smoother in that prior run. And I'll go and pull up the one from yesterday. Here's the one from yesterday. Still got like a little bit shy of a 2-minute time lapse. We only got 14 images. I got it looping. I mean, showing quite a bit of movement. Or it could be, I think it's movement. It's only like 2-hour time lapse. Look how much they move in 2 hours. And we still got quite a few layers left on there. You can see some of the stuff zipping around, whether that's energy signatures or I'm not sure. There's our object there. It's been on the move. So anyway, enough of that. We had another high-speed solar wind event yesterday. It was short-lived. First, we had one at 22:27. So that'd be like 5:27 Eastern Standard Time. Went up to 12:53, and this stuff's all being measured inside the magneto pause area. And I pulled these these shots up just because they appear to be the most dramatic, in my humble opinion, anyway. This is later during the same high-speed solar wind event. This is back at 22:27. These are after midnight. So I went to 12:53. Oh, okay, it started at like 22:23 or maybe a few minutes before, who knows. But no more than a few minutes. So it went to 1289 kilometers per second, 1507, 1253. Then it went back down, 513. No, it didn't. I bumped it. Okay, here we go. But it did go back down shortly thereafter. 1289, 1507, 1253. Then it went to 808. So it was only like 10-minute event, maybe tops. And then we had a break till about 37, 39 past. It went to 1308 kilometers per second. This is 1158, 1572, 1911. Wow, that's the highest it went this time, I believe. 1911, 1366, and this one lasted about an hour. So all told, about an hour and 10 minutes maybe. Start this thing playing again. Catch the other ones up to it later. But if I did notice that, just like yesterday, the solar wind speed, and I'm not sure if I exactly fleshed out that point I was beginning to make, it's relatively almost matches up with the solar wind speed coming from the sun, although it's still a little bit higher. I mean, I'm talking average, not that high speed Nemesis solar wind event. You can see the whole solar wind speed here in kilometers per second in the purple as I drag it through. Best to click this lower box down here if you want to see this stuff more clearly. You can see the numbers better for sure. You can see the solar wind speed's been dropping. It's down to around 384. The density, that's been pretty much level. That's another thing that kind of confirms to me that, as I pointed out a few videos back, that I think the connection between the sun, big planets out front of the Earth, sun, here we got the big planets out in front of the Earth, here's the Earth, and we have Nemesis behind. It's like a pretty solid connection now, pretty open conduit between all these celestial objects running through here somewhere. And so everything's kind of sort of starting to average out is what I'm trying to get at. Solar wind density pretty much leveled off. Just being recorded up at ACE. Still got a stronger sun and earth side connection based upon this phi angle, which surprises me a little bit. So the sun's maybe still got some more voltage power than Nemesis once this connection became solidified. Maybe the volt power from the sun is, well, it's clearly a much bigger solar object than Nemesis. Nemesis being only maybe, here's my two hypotheses down here. This is my hypotheses for the high-speed solar wind. You have to click view reply. But so you figure our binary twin Nemesis, or Herculobus is only 4 to 5 times the mass of Jupiter, reportedly, and Jupiter's a gas giant. So, but be that as it may, so it's probably smaller, and that's what I'm saying, explaining these high-speed solar wind Nemesis events behind the Earth. That may be one of the coronal holes on this binary twin. Brown dwarf is rotating around every 24 hours or so, and then we're catching a coronal hole stream since we're linked up to it. Interplanetary magnetic field wise speaking. So the sun's way bigger than Nemesis. So maybe since this connection's become solidified and everything's sort of flowing without much resistance, conduit's like open, in other words, get what I'm saying? Looks like everything's equalized out for the time being anyway. Now here's what I'm talking about, coronal hole streams. This is the latest shot of the sun. That's our coronal hole, and they're predicting some higher density and higher radial velocity. I don't know why they're predicting the higher density. This looked a little different yesterday. But anyway, we'll have to watch this. Not sure it really goes to my point. If you click this back to 335 though, see this magnetic resonant grid pattern around the sun? And also at the 94 angstroms shows up. I caught that, or became aware of it way back in April. And also the magnetic resonant grid pattern on the planet. This has been like this 24/7 since at least April, middle of April when I caught it. I mean, every day, go on Benchy Sky. There should be a link in my description box for Benchy Sky. You'll see this magnetic resonant grid pattern. Anyway, let's get back to this here. So here's the first event back at 22 something. Was not real dramatic. And then started back up again right about there. That's a pretty good blast. 51 was the highest one on the solar wind speed, 1911 or something, I believe it was. But you still see we got the IMF field line stacking up in front of the planet. And you can see there's like a big block of them back here that show up every now and then. Still got Nemesis back here, extruding their interplanetary magnetic field lines right up the middle. Earth's magnetosphere is looking a little weak, in my opinion, based upon the darkness of these polar cap field lines and the other field lines. But we're hanging in there. I think everything right now is kind of in a steady as she goes pattern, even though we're still getting this high speed solar wind from Nemesis. Pretty much like clockwork, every 24 hours, a little bit before or a little bit past midnight. We'll start that playing again. These two are synced, the Fock radiation belts. Geospace looking pretty quiet. There's the Y cut and the Z cut looking straight across and looking straight down on the planet. Pressure pretty much equalized out. One thing I did notice, just its angle. Watch here when it flips back to the beginning. This is like a 4-hour run. See, it's almost straight across. Now look how it flipped up. And now it's coming back down. So that's, to me, that's indicative of maybe these planets that we're seeing on MLSO getting closer to the Earth, and there's turning to face them more. I don't know. We're in the relatively quiet period right now, it would appear. So thanks for listening. Check out the blog. I put it in my description box. And God bless, peace, and I'm out.